the commentary button. What about now? What about now? Zonia in the house. Raul, that's looking good, babe. That was so good.
The colors of the type changes every time you do it. I couldn't pick it. Or at least I couldn't see how to pick it.
Let's see if that works. Hold on, dear listeners. We're on the way back. Was it right here? How do I put that there?
Post. Click on posts.
Okay.
And then put new.
New, yeah.
And then you click on, whoops.
I usually do it this way. It's all good.
You
Fireside
can put one with a link.
time. Boom. Publish. All right. So patrons are taken care of.
If you do it the other way, it posts a big picture with it, so they know.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that should take care of that. Everything should be clever. And we're off to the races. Whew.
It's cool that we can see our messages. I know, Emily. I figured it out. I sat down and I was like, I got to figure this out.
I know. Fancy. Now we're in it. So we don't really need the chat window anymore, do we?
Well, yeah. So we can scroll up, I think.
Right. Yeah, Dirk, we made some upgrades. You know what I'm saying? Trying to maintain, try to keep it gully.
Yeah. Keep up with the Joneses.
Gershok. So Gershok just announced that they're doing a tour. So that's pretty.
Oh, yeah? Oh, good for them.
Yeah. One of my dreams is to see a village band open up for a band that we're working with.
Oh, I know. That would be crazy.
So if we can accomplish that, that's on my bucket list. You know, like I think Gershok would have been a good fit for the Static X show. Mm-hmm. We could have replaced one of those bands. We're not going to mention the name of the band.
Yeah. Could have. Oh, I'm so happy that people like it.
This is all Sori, by the way. Vincent had nothing to do with it because Sori is the self-teaching master. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So what's up, y'all? What do y'all want to talk about? Everything is open for business. Emily's in the house. What's up, Emily Lee? Emily, you wanted to be part of the last Bible bash, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. She did.
We're going to edit that video and upload it. I don't know if you're on Patreon or not. I don't know where exactly we're going to upload it. But at minimum, I'll send it to you like individually. That's cool. And then I think the next... Hey, Elio Mike in the house. Long time no chat.
Oh, hey.
Elio Mike, what's good, buddy?
Where is it? I'm not seeing. Oh,
I
right,
see it right
there.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't teach you how to get yourself a tuner.
He's a tuner. I know we have. Somebody sent him a tuner.
Yes. They sent me a lot of stuff. Whoa, Ernie Acosta, did you just send 99 cents? Thank you very much, sir.
Where did you see that?
Let's talk about what happened with the Alliance Essential bands. What is the Alliance Essential bands? What are they talking about?
Are they talking?
I got this message from Damon. Damon texted me and said something about the Alliance picks. I'm like, haven't we been doing just straight Patreon songs for the last 6 weeks?
I don't know what.
What are they talking about?
I don't have a clue.
What's up, BM fan?
I didn't go on Patreon today, so.
BM fan. You got to talk to your people in Antifa, boy. These boys are going to go out there and get somebody shot, BM fan.
Yeah.
Good Lord. You know what's interesting is that this thing is not updating.
As quickly as that?
Yeah, this is like 10 minutes back. What do you think of AOC saying America has concentration camps at the border? I don't have enough information about what exactly is happening at the border for me to make that statement. What I will say is that we had Japanese internment camps during World War II, so I'm not going to say that America is above that. You know, people always saying, we're not like this. Yeah, we are. So, I'm suspending judgment on the concentration camp thing. I would like a full embedded reporter to go there and get full access.
Oh, I totally agree.
On a surprise visit, so that we could cut through all the BS.
Yep.
That's what I want. What I don't want to do is continuously use these people for political gamesmanship. But at the same time, if we're committing a human rights atrocity, we need to know about it.
I totally agree.
I would love if Vice, because Vice is pretty objective.
Was it Vice that was going around? Remember there was like that, they like went around to different groups and there was like a church group that they stopped at?
Yes.
That was Vice? Yeah.
Yes. Ernie Eastman says
tomorrow at 4:30.
Okay. Ernie Eastman is saying he's trying to call in.
Nothing came through.
See, the problem with this thing is, how do you scroll up, though? See?
That's why I said you need this.
Yeah, this thing isn't updated. Let me refresh it. Because there we go.
It's more for the other people.
What the heck? There's a commercial already on our live video? Christ is at the border. That's funny.
Somebody sent...
Whoa, $5. Thank you very much. If you sent...
Look, there's already something said here.
If you sent... Have you listened to music you've already heard with the headphones to see the differences? Actually, Matt, I haven't done that yet.
No.
I probably should. I have basically left the headphones here because I don't want them to get lost, and I don't want the kids to mess with them because they're really, really
right.
Awesome.
I know they're just so perfect for what we're doing that it's like I don't want anything to happen to them either, so I just leave mine right here. Actually, that's one thing that's nice about it is that people are less likely. Like, somebody could take our headphones that like went inside your ears. They could snatch them and take them away. And it's not like you notice that they were yours because they're in someone's ears.
Right.
But if the kids were like walking around like this, I'd be like, hey, those are mine.
Right.
Put those back.
Right.
So these are like much less likely to get like touched.
Okay, somebody messages something on Skype, but we are not logged into Skype yet, so...
Okay.
I'm logging into Skype right now.
Hey, is it true that Antifa's flag matches the Nazi thing? Was that photoshopped?
No, but a lot of them are carrying around the hammer and the sickle, which is
The setup of the flag was the same, but it was just different symbols.
No. But
that's part of my thing with like going on Facebook is I always get like, I don't know what's...
Well, it's a strange thing where...
Lies.
Well, it's a strange thing where modern... And I'm just going to call them leftists. I know they don't identify as that. But it's this weird thing where being a Nazi is bad, but being a communist, particularly a Soviet communist, is somehow good and awesome. I mean, people rocking Che Guevara shirts. And these people killed millions of people.
Right.
More people were killed under the hammer and the sickle than under the swastika. So, Hitler is rightly demonized, but somehow these communist dictators get... sainted by the radical violent left. So no, I don't think. Hey Zonia, speaker's off. Let me get this live.
Here we go.
Z, can you hear us?
Oh, you must have hit the side button.
I did.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, it's a flaw.
It really
is. I just hung up on Z. Let me try to call her back.
There we go.
Here we go. And speaker on. There we go. Okay, now we can hear you.
All right. Hey.
Talk to me.
So I just got home. I think I've only got a few minutes to talk because I think I'm going to head straight to bed.
You sound tired.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired.
Okay, talk to me. What's going on?
Actually, I wanted to bring up, it sounds like you guys completely forgot what the Essential Bands picks were.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. So maybe you can... Do you have any idea what they're talking about?
No.
Because, I mean, we've been trying to do... We've been doing straight alliance picks for the last 5 weeks. But go ahead.
They're actually separate from the alliance picks. So back in February, we did an alliance leaders meeting with you guys.
Yep.
And you asked us to get to pick 5 songs from Essential Bands that you haven't done yet.
I do remember that.
And you asked us each to do it, and you told us to get it to you in like just a few weeks. So we all kind of crammed and got it all out.
Okay, so Is Damon on the line? Is Damon in here?
Is that on Trello?
Is that on Trello?
I'm not sure how Damon was managing it. We were passing the info on to him. He was passing it to you guys.
Damon just messaged me, so we're gonna figure this out. I'm watching the stream. You can talk to me here. Okay. Upload it.
We can, if you...
Yeah, whoever has...
I'm not sure how he was passing it.
Whoever has access to Trello, please upload...
Yeah, it's Damon. It's Damon that has access.
Okay, so I just messaged Damon to put it on Trello, so we'll knock those out. So each group had an essential band?
We had 5 of them. And yeah, we basically covered all the genres that we cover and got some critical songs from bands that you guys haven't reacted to yet and set them all up. So, yeah. Okay.
So I think we can, that's an easy fix. Damon's uploading it to Trello, so that should solve that problem.
There might be a little gap in between because we've been doing Patreon picks for a chunk of time, so we want to take a little spot to go on the comment sections and get to those, and then we can jump back to those other ones.
But yeah, I mean,
don't worry about it. You know, we'll just we'll all suspend our patronage for you guys for a little while.
Sounds like a plan. Each alliance had 5 apiece.
Yeah,
I remember setting that up, but.
Okay, so we're not going to do all, because that's like, what, 25 songs?
I'm not sure what the total is. I think it was, I forget all the specifics, but basically for each genre that we covered.
Did we tell you guys to grab 5 each?
I think that was it. I don't remember. It's been so long now.
Well,
but ask Damon. He knows all the specifics. He wrote it all down during the meeting.
Yeah, so I'll connect with Damon, but and if we don't release them to the public yet, we'll at least put it up on Patreon for the essentials. So you guys will have early access to it.
Yeah, that was about all I was going to call in for.
Okay, secured.
But yeah. Otherwise, have a good fireside. I'm just gonna head to bed. I'm really tired.
I know, you're beat.
Zonia, do you drink tea?
Yeah. Do I what?
Do you drink tea?
Not much these days. I used to, though.
Yeah.
I drink chaga, but somebody threw away my $100 chaga.
It was molded on
awesome.
the top, and in the bottom of the pot, it was slimy. And I threw it away because deep down, I figured you'd drink it anyway, and I really didn't want you to do that to yourself.
I mean, mold is not going to kill you. That type of mold.
But it's a
mushroom is a fungus
molded,
anyway.
Right, so it's a fungus that's now molded. It just seems like there's too much going on there, and I didn't want you to take that chance. And so I dumped it and threw it away.
Right. She made the call.
I did.
She's a fascist, Zonia.
I did, and I'll take the fall for that. Call me what you want, but I probably saved your life.
All right, Z, rest up. Make sure you can hang out with us the next fireside.
Yeah. We love you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Love you too. Bye.
How many times I've told Zonia I love her? Never says anything. You say it. I love you too. Thank you, Zonia. I appreciate you.
Well, people feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Nobody loves Vincent. That's all right. Remember the Simpsons episode about the sandwich? I do not.
Senior Clay, he probably would if I would have let him drink that.
You're ridiculous. All right, we got somebody else on the line.
Oh, Dan, I'm going to be going on Patreon probably like tomorrow or the day after and responding to my messages. So you'll get a response back. If you send me a message, you'll get a response back from me.
Yes. Yeah, X, I see you're going to call in right after Raul, buddy. You can call me. Okay, what's up?
What's up, man?
Who
First of all, Vin, we love you. So don't feel left out.
See?
Thank you.
I told you they did.
Thank you. At least Ernie loves him.
Look, Emily's saying it too. I feel like you say it just to make everybody say, "Oh, there's Steven."
You've never told me you love me. Z gets all the love. Lies, Kyrie. I've said that to you before. Check your text messages. Okay. So what's up? Talk to me.
I actually wanted to talk to you about that Static X show that you went to. How was that?
It was bananas, bro. It was bananas. We got an interview with Tony, so that's going up pretty soon.
From Static?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, nice. I actually interviewed Raven Black in South Carolina last Wednesday.
Wow. Yeah, so Raven was there, but we weren't able to connect with them.
No.
But we've already interviewed Raven Black. But yeah, it was an amazing show. I just posted another one on Instagram where you can see the crowd. The crowd was crazy. And like it was really cool because remember the lead singer of Dope? He was like, you know, when we did this in 1999, we're all kids, and now the majority of you had to have a babysitter to come to the show. You know, and it was like, that was a pretty crazy moment.
Yeah.
Because he was like spot on. He was absolutely right.
And then people were like laughing because they were like, it's true. And then I had run to the restroom and I could hear the girls were in there talking. They were like, it's so true. We were here so long ago. I know. We have kids. And like, they were laughing about it. It was cool.
It was a very, very special show, especially being able to talk to Tony and be like, you know, basically face to face up front with him for the whole show.
Yeah.
And we had been able to sit down and talk to him. You know, it's obvious they loved Wayne a lot. Mm-hmm. So there are a couple hard parts in the show. Yeah. That we'll talk about, but in the show review. But yeah, it was a beautiful show. It was a beautiful thing. It was like, to me, one of the best testaments of metal. How metal is able to bring people together. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like my main reason for going was Raven Black because I don't know, like something about her voice and her music just kind of it's kind of amazing to me. Yep. Yeah, but like when I was talking to Raven, you know, I asked her and her husband, like, you know, like if they were stuck in an elevator with somebody dead or alive, you know, she said Wayne Static, and you know. She said because, you know, growing up, you know, Wayne Static and Static X was, you know, a huge influence, and, you know, it was a big part of their life. So, you know, right now you saying that kind of, you know, like, it opens up more what she said about him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a beautiful thing, man. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I also want to say congratulations to you guys for the baby, because I mean I haven't been able to keep up. I've been watching the videos, but none of the lives. And
we haven't missed much. We haven't done a lot.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys got the Hell Yeah Love Falls like sometime this past few months, but like I'm actually pretty excited for what you guys have in the future, and you know, like I just want to say to you both that I'm really happy for you guys, and
thank you.
You know, thank you for what you guys do.
Thanks.
We appreciate that, my G.
Yeah, but I hope you guys have a good night, and I'm gonna go back to the chat.
All right,
brother. Much love to you.
Bye.
Much love, bro. Bye.
Cool. Yeah, I really didn't focus a lot on Wayne when they were up on stage. It was pretty sad. Mm-hmm. But you know, hey, it is what it is. All right. Whoa, look, the phone lines are busy. Yeah. That means we're popular, babe. That means we're popular.
Or we just have a few loyal friends.
We got Thanks, Ernie. Appreciate you.
Both same time.
I know. Boogeyman79, you can call us after we get done talking to Gershok. What's good, Mr. Gershok?
How's it going, guys?
What's going on, big homie?
Well, I think you know what's going on because you posted about it today.
I did. For all who are not in the know, the legendary Gershok are going on tour. I'm going to actually post the link here pretty soon here, but go ahead, keep talking.
I appreciate that.
What do you mean, bro? What do you mean?
I appreciate that. Oh, I can actually see the messages now because of the new thing you guys got. That's helpful. Anyway,
Why, you couldn't see him before?
Me and my damn potato mic. Is that true? I have an actual microphone. Let me just use that.
Hey, where's...
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to post the link in the description. Hold on for a second. I'm posting the link. That link that I just posted has Gershok and all their tour dates and such for the new tour.
Gershok, so Silver says you guys need to tour in Florida.
Yeah, Silver says that every time we announce a new show. But anyway, so first of all, I was going to say the Alex Hefter thing unfortunately couldn't happen because he's doing the bar exam pretty soon.
Yeah.
Which, we're all happy for him for sure, but because of that, I basically just sent you guys a completely new song to react to of ours, and I thought that would tie in nicely with the whole, post a picture of the flyer right before we go off, and then that would just take care of it.
Okay. Cool.
But anyway, that's the tour stuff.
Okay.
The main thing that I wanted to call in about is actually that you wouldn't believe, but I was actually talking earlier this morning in the Discord saying that I had a topic I wanted to bring up as like a Discord fireside. And, last thing I expected is that then you guys have an actual fireside the same day. And I'm like, well, I mean, we're all here, right? The gang's all here.
I feel like you're about to drop a bomb. Go for it.
Do it up.
Okay. So this is all stuff that was sort of like going on in my head as I was driving back home. It's there was a video that I saw last night that was done by the Game Theorists. It's a YouTube channel that basically does like nerdy game stuff.
Yeah, but my son Johan is my youngest is actually my second youngest is subscribed to that channel. But go ahead.
Oh, so he may already know what I'm about to talk about then.
Yeah.
So then, he just did a video describing how YouTube's platform is actually making it harder to be in the gaming industry because the way they've set up the system is that Google is launching a gaming platform, but YouTube is now making that gaming platform incredibly restricted because of mature content.
Wow.
Which I'm sure you know all about the mature content policies on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of on my way back home, I was thinking about what kind of solutions could you propose for that. And I was thinking, well, the first one I can think of is you could sort of split YouTube into its sort of different subcategories that tailors specifically to the different kinds of people, which, that's more how movies would work. You got your G, your PG, teen, and R rated.
Right.
But then, the thing is, as soon as I was thinking about that, it's I immediately was thinking about where political videos would go in that, and that's when I started to really think that maybe this actually goes a lot deeper than I considered. So, upon that, so here's what the question was for the topic is, do you think nowadays that the internet has gotten big enough that it could be considered its own government?
Or a branch of the government.
Exactly. Even bigger because it's international.
Right. Yeah, I think that...
That's interesting.
Well, I would never go there. So, I'm an internet anarchist in the sense that we don't have, for example, the term hate speech, right? We don't have a canonical definition of what hate speech is, and there's no real way to apply it consistently across the board. So for some legislative branch or some other branch of whatever government to go and police, and interrupt me anytime, but to police what acceptable content is and what isn't, I think is gonna have some really terrible implications.
For sure.
Yeah, that takes care of like what the main controversy would be in that situation. But as it stands right now, the internet was built up by, corporations and people with .com websites.
True.
But that was all taken at a time where nobody expected the internet to become what it has now, which is practically like a totally different thing than how it started. But because of that, the internet has already sort of taken off in the direction it's in now. And if it was to actually be considered a government, like that's sort of the thing, is if you considered a government now, like regardless of how it's been working right now, it could technically be considered a plutocracy. In the sense that it's run specifically by people who already have the money, already have the infrastructure for it, and it's up to them what gets policed.
Right. Well, that is true, because we've seen in the last 365 days where YouTube is randomly deplatforming people.
Yeah.
I think VAR got deplatformed. But again, this is my problem, right? But you're right. It's like, well, what's the difference between a bunch of quadrillionaires having the ability to deplatform somebody versus a government?
I think this. Look at this.
Yeah, didn't Alex Jones get deplatformed?
YouTube has to decide if it is a publisher or a platform.
Yes, Alex Jones got deplatformed. But here's the difference, I think, between the quadrillionaires deplatforming somebody in the government. The quadrillionaires who own YouTube have a vested financial interest in YouTube being successful. And so that form of capitalism can be leveraged by common people to sway YouTube's decision making. So like one example for that would be PewDiePie got in some trouble because he was saying, alluding to Nazi things or making light of the Holocaust, right? So PewDiePie had a show like Scare PewDiePie or something like that. YouTube canceled it, right? Because it's like, oh, we're not doing this. But they still have PewDiePie's channel. They're not going to kill PewDiePie's channel. He's gotten over 2 billion views almost. You see what I'm saying? So the money actually functions to keep the plutarchs somewhat at the will of the people. Whereas if you give it to the government, who has an unlimited stream of income or whatever you want to call it, they have no vested interest in the success of YouTube. And so they can make decisions like, for example, it's very feasible that the government could have completely shut down PewDiePie's channel as a whole.
Right.
Now, YouTube would never do that. Go ahead.
You were just referring to the adpocalypse. That exact moment you were talking about is what triggered the adpocalypse to start. Sadat,
right. But my point is, it would be worse if we handed it over to the government. Because now, the government, a lot of times, depending on what side you're on, whether you're a left-winger or a right-winger, a lot of decisions get made for political capital. And so if we left that in the hands of the government, that would be a lot less predictable than YouTube. Like, YouTube is going to make Google is going to make decisions that ultimately line their pockets. So for example, if there was a massive outcry and a massive exodus from YouTube because of what happened to Farrakhan and what happened to Alex Jones and what happened to Bertram, then they would change that policy. Mm-hmm. But if you're a politician, you don't care about the outcry from people in another sector because you're just going to do what your constituents want you to do.
Okay, I think I can see sort of what perspective you took on this, and that's definitely a valid perspective. It's not the one I had, though. It's I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're sort of getting at is that what if the internet is so big that it can be governed, it would be like, do we have to think about the government just sweeping in and taking control of it? That's not exactly what I'm thinking. It's more so, in my perspective, it's what if the internet is already a government? Like, nobody swept in and took it over. It's already at the point of having enough political power that it can be considered a legit government, because I think because election year is coming up, we might actually see how that affects the rest of us, because people are using the internet and its plutocracy system right now to sort of leverage specifically people who understand that particular system well enough to take advantage of it. And so because of that, what you see on the news is what they decide that you should see on the news on the internet.
What's plutocracy?
I mean, I can look up an exact
It's
definition,
basically
but it's basically
people that are
when a government is run by...
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's a government that's run by the rich. It's, let's see.
Okay.
Plutocracy. This is something that comes up a lot in our lyrics, by the way. It's, government by the wealthy is the exact definition. A country or society governed by wealthy people.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's kind of like a big thing in America, is that people will have this debate all the time, is that, you know, the U.S. isn't a democracy, it's a republic. And then others are like, it's not a republic, it's a monarchy. And it's like, it's not a monarchy, it's a plutocracy, that kind of thing.
Right.
So the thing is, in this sense, you could actually make the argument that the internet is a plutocracy because of what you said, Vin, is that it's sort of like based on the bottom line at the end of the day. And so that's what motivates the forward movement and progression.
Well, wait a second. There's a difference though between YouTube and the internet. Google does not own the internet. They do own YouTube. So if you get deplatformed from YouTube, that doesn't mean you get deplatformed from the internet. It just means you got deplatformed.
This is bigger than YouTube.
Right. So nobody owns the internet. Right? Like, but here's the thing about plutocracy. Right now, the heads of Google are the only plutarchs that run YouTube. But if you give it to the hands of the government, now you're going to have Republican and Democrat plutarchs running the internet because they've got the money to influence decisions that the government would make about the internet. So I would rather only deal with one plutarch than deal with 500 of them. And if you send it over to the government, then now you're dealing with 500 plutarchs. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I agree with you on that, because what I'm asking is, haven't you noticed that's already what's happening?
Oh, yeah, I agree. And I'm kind of, I'm going to make a provocative statement here, but tell me if I'm wrong. The left are the only ones that have been campaigning for this radical censorship and deplatforming. Like, I don't see Fox News saying this and this person needs to be deplatformed. I don't see Fox News or any conservative writing a bunch of tweets about how this group needs to be deplatformed, like what happened with Vox. I mean, are you seeing that or no?
Uncle Dan thinks I ate shrooms before I called in. Fuck off. Sorry, repeat the question again.
Well, I was just saying I'd rather deal with one plutarch than 200 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think it's more so that the plutarchs sort of created this sort of circle, this vicious circle in terms of who has control. Because when you think about it, like, Google has control of YouTube, but YouTube has control of the AdSense, and the advertisers have control of YouTube for that reason. And so it has like this vicious cycle of like,
right.
Whoever is in charge of the other platform's bottom dollar is going to have a lot more say in what gets published or what gets advertised.
Yeah, and with us, the vast majority of our stuff gets demonetized anyway. So it doesn't really affect us.
Right.
Because we didn't build our model that way. We had a people-based model versus an AdSense model, and we gambled on the idea that people were going to, they wanted the channel to stay exactly the way it was, So because of that, we don't have those issues. But I agree with you. There are I've talked to personal YouTubers who will not say certain things because it's going to get them hit with. Because like even on this channel, like we don't have any copyrighted material. But there have been times when our stuff has been demonetized in a forum like this just because somebody said something.
Yep.
So it's a serious issue because it's a similar thing with Patreon where these companies are allowed to make these unilateral decisions and not give any explanation, which is a form of tyranny. So now people are saying, well, wait a second, why do you get to do that? And my response is, well, they're a private company. So to me, I'm just really, really, really suspicious of government, and I'm suspicious of lobbyists, and the few open, like you get a guy like Jimmy Dore who's giving us, alternate media, but because he's not beholden to ads and TV and major corporations, he gets to say things that MSNBC and CNN won't say, and I cringe at the idea.
Yep.
I cringe at the idea of the government being able to regulate what Jimmy Dore is saying.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's the thing. It's like, I don't think it would be a light switch. I mean, we can even sort of use the evidence of what people are posting in chat right now is to say that, for every person in chat right now who's saying that, this makes sense, or, yeah, I'm already feeling the effects of this, there's like a couple other people in chat who are also saying that, what the fuck is X talking about? This is some bullshit. But that's exactly how you can tell the way this is happening right now is that I don't think it's going to be just you flip I'm just saying something's getting lit. I was like, you just flip a light switch and then suddenly the government controls the internet. It's more like there's going to be a very slow period in which people who become politicians start to see the political power that the internet might have and then get involved with it that way.
Right.
And then as the years go by, you'll slowly see more and more involvement with the government. And the idea is, do you feel like people aren't aware of that yet, or that it's going to get way worse this upcoming election year?
I think the masses are not going to figure it out until it's too late. That's what I think.
Yep. Yeah, that's another that's another recurring theme in our lyrics.
Yeah,
Facebook is banning people too.
Yeah, obviously this is what we do for a living, so we know the ins and outs and what's going on, and anytime something like that pops, I've got certain feeds that get me that information so I can track it. But I have a vested interest in understanding what the hell YouTube is doing, right? But if there's any sort of evidence that we need for social media and how politicians are angling social media, it's this whole Trump Russiagate thing. Because at the end of the day, what the argument is that the Russians use social media to try to manipulate our democracy. Now, I think that's BS. But what is important is that even though in my mind it was BS, they felt like the internet was that powerful to do that. And we know that the Russians were trying to do that. So they felt like that type of influence. Like, I get emails all the time from YouTube, from Patreon, and they call us influencers. That's what they call you. They don't call you YouTuber. And now it's really sexy for YouTubers to walk around and call themselves influencers.
I hate that word, though.
Well, I agree. It just sounds very pretentious to me. Like, what do you mean you're an influencer? But either way, my point...
An influencer makes you sound like an old person saying that you're just a YouTuber. Like, before it used to just be, yeah, we're all just random guys with a camera on YouTube, and we do silly shit in our room to entertain our friends and maybe 1,000 other people. Now... Like, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a social influencer.
Right.
I am a data collector analyst now. And it's like, shut up, man. You're a YouTuber.
Right. Which again, if you want to get really conspiratorial, that's a setup. Because now you got all these quote-unquote influencers. Well, if somebody does something bad or wrong, and you can connect it to these guys and say that they influenced you, now the government's going to step in and say, well, these influencers are too powerful. We got to do something to regulate them.
Is that what's going on? Is that the word changed to influencer so they could be held more accountable for this stuff?
Well, I'm not saying that the government made it up. What I am saying is that if I was one of those people, I would absolutely jump on that as a reason to regulate it and get the government involved in it.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I mean, you wouldn't consider yourselves an influencer though, because that's the weird situation, right?
No, of course not. We're YouTubers. And if somebody were to ask me, they're like, "Are you an influencer?" I'd say, "I am a YouTuber."
Maybe I'm missing. I don't see what you guys just think it sounds weird to say that somebody's an influencer.
I just think it's pretentious. There's
Well,
literally. Go ahead.
To be a YouTuber means that you just make videos on YouTube. To be an influencer means that you're saying your opinion can sway other people's opinions to influence them.
I do think that's true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're a legitimate influencer, you were an influencer long before YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
My issue
you can influence people without being an influencer.
Right. My issue is you attach that title to people who are making videos in their basement.
Yeah.
But the term influencer has a lot more, I think, social and existential ramifications than YouTuber does.
Yeah.
Because if I was a corrupt politician and I wanted to start really censoring stuff, right? I'd say these guys are influencers. They know that's how they self-identify, and they're influencing people to do horrible shit, and that's why you need us to come and save you. See what I'm saying?
Well, real quick, sorry to sort of answer the point you brought up. It's I think the difference is that if you are a YouTuber, you know, even if you just classify yourself as a YouTuber, you can still have an influence on people. That just comes from having a screen and being a person that anybody can root for in the end of the day. And that's really easy when people watch you on a screen all the time. But the difference is that if you call yourself an influencer, it's to say that that's your intent. So if you call yourself a YouTuber, you could say, I influence people, but at the end of the day, I'm not on YouTube to influence people. I'm just doing my own thing.
Right.
But if you call yourself an influencer, it means my whole goal on this platform is to sway people.
Right.
Yeah, but what does it matter? What somebody's goal is?
Well, again, for me, if I think the government is sitting back and thinking, how the hell do we regulate this? Because before it was just, you know, the big three news agencies or whatnot, and then they all sold their souls to the government because the government has millions. And like MSN, like it's clear, like Fox News is in bed with the Republican Party. That's obvious. And MSNBC, those guys, they're in bed with the left. That's obvious. But what happens is you've got this entire platform now that millions of people go to. A Jimmy Dore video.
Oh yeah, they don't have the power that they had.
Right.
The news doesn't.
So what
not even close.
So what I'm saying is, if I was one of those corrupt politicians, I would like, well, we got to figure out a way to get our hands in this and control it. And what I'm saying is,
they're saying that
it's much easier to get everybody panicked over the term influencer than the term YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
Right, like
yeah,
YouTuber just sounds like, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But if you say somebody's an influencer,
right,
then you could spin all this yarn about conspiracy theories and we need to get this guy out of here. We need to get this girl off YouTube because she's influencing people to do terrible things.
Yeah.
And to Gershak's point, if you call yourself that, you're saying that is my intention. Whereas even if we influence somebody, it is a byproduct of what our actual goal is. Our actual goal is just to react to metal songs. Mm-hmm. That is our goal.
Yeah.
From the, you know, if we influence people as a byproduct, then fine. But I'm a YouTuber who does metal videos. That's my relationship to YouTube. I'm not an influencer. Like, that's not why we joined.
Yeah.
I'm talking too much. Gershak, you're up.
Yeah, this is like this is sort of a tale as old as time, to be honest. You know, that every generation, every decade, there's always going to be that new, hot, popular, trendy thing that anybody will jump on to pin the blame on. You know, there was the whole issue where Judas Priest got brought to trial over some people who committed suicide listening to their music.
Right.
And, you know, as tragic as that is, it is absolutely foolish to bring Judas Priest to court as if that was what they wanted to do. Like, what kind of band wants their fan base to commit suicide?
Right.
But they always have to pin the blame on somebody. So,
well, if you're predisposed to be against metal, then you're gonna jump on that. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the thing is, Judas Priest claims the exact opposite of that in court. They said that they never wrote any songs to influence anybody to commit suicide. If anything, they just said they wrote songs to influence them to buy their merchandise. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's the thing. So, like, if you guys ever got brought to court and they were calling you an influencer, then I think labeling yourself as a YouTuber would be a very instrumental part in winning the case.
I agree.
And, you'll probably have Alex Hefner representing you anyway.
Right. That's why I'm glad. Get that bar, son. But no, you're right. And I fully expect one day to have one of those discussions. And I'm not even joking. Like, that is factored into our budget. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
no,
that's the thing is everybody else ready for that conversation yet?
Well, I've done other things where I've had to do, 3-hour depositions with a bunch of lawyers and such. And I mean, it was no joke. So, we've been in the middle of that stuff for the last 5 years. So, but I agree with you. The vast majority of people haven't been in that situation. I was in that situation, and so I'm comfortable with it. You see what I'm saying? But, what is a normal...
I think it's funny every time I call in, I feel like we just end up aggressively agreeing with each other.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're a good dude.
Well, I think it's we agree with each other in the sense that we both have the same kind of upbringing and sort of viewpoints in terms of the world. There are things we disagree with, but I don't find much point in bringing that up.
Unless you're a space away in Vingo.
Well, now that was a secret, and Zonia still hears from me every single day for letting that one out of the bag.
Well, I still don't know the actual board. I've never seen the board, but I do know that Vingo is a thing.
Well, yeah, the only one I was willing to admit to is that at one point the free space was original sin, but I've actually changed that because that's for the reaction videos, original sin. I don't think whenever you guys do Fireside you even mention original sin. It's generally an avoided topic pretty easily.
Yeah.
But what I changed the free space now is abortion.
If I mention it,
Vin, every time you have a Fireside, you always bring up abortion eventually.
That's not true. Like, somebody mentioned abortion earlier. I just dodged it. There's a lot of times where people mention abortion in the comment section. Maybe you haven't seen it, and I'll respond to something. Like right now, I didn't.
That's true. I mean,
I didn't bring that up.
Just you either.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The way Vingo works, it's not just what you say. It's if this gets brought up in a Fireside, it counts.
Yeah. Look at Kyrie. Vingo is the only thing I've ever won in my life.
That's true. Silver did won it.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, but I don't want to talk about abortion. That's like the last thing I would bring up in Fireside.
Yeah.
It's I had one other point left, and then I was pretty much going to open it up. So like, sort of to close off the topic of the plutocracy and the internet is, for me, the one thing that really sort of got disturbing for me to think about is how this affects the younger generations coming up, because the generation I was brought up in, the internet was seen as this like Wild West kind of thing where nobody was really regulating anything that was being posted on it, and the simple thought of anybody being on the internet basically meant like if you saw something offensive on the internet, it's like, well, that's the internet, you should have known better. But now there's like such a varying degree of people saying that there should be protection of all sources on the internet now, that it's opened up a much wider audience, and now everybody in everybody in every first world country knows about the internet at least.
Right. But
the current the youngest generation right now, Gen Z, they're starting to pull away from the internet a little bit. They're deleting their Facebook accounts. They're mostly using Instagram. And what little they do on the internet seems to be, if not political, just the parts of the internet that aren't regulated, which kind of leads them down to the same kind of questionable parts of the internet that I don't know if we're ever going to have any kind of checks or balances or whatever. So that's what I'm wondering, is that probably bringing in more government to the internet is going to cause that rift even further, to the point where it's going to be just people our age as we get older, and then we'll be the only ones even using it.
Yep. Well, I doubt that very highly. I doubt that very highly. Huh?
I know we can't really see that far into the future, but if that does happen, I'm going to hold you to that you doubting it part.
Yeah, I will give you $500 if that happens. Which, based on inflation, will probably be $32.78 by that time.
I don't want your money, Vin. I just want you to review all of our songs on our next album. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much the topic that I had in mind, is because that's kind of where my sort of theory on things kind of ended, is when it came to how it affects the younger generation, because I can't speak for them. I am not of their generation anymore.
Right.
So that's kind of where the whole reason of me bringing this up in Discord is, because I wanted to have like everybody else contribute to this same discussion, and then maybe bring up what they think of this. And that, I think, is where it would be a good point for me to sort of jump off.
All right, buddy. Much love to you, big homie.
Bye.
So, if anybody else wants to have this topic, feel free to call in.
Cool. Yes, sir.
And also buy our shirts.
Yes, buy Gershok's shirt and see him on tour, you bums.
All right. Much love.
Yeah, I am for the least amount of government regulation possible, and I'm extremely suspicious of any attempt to censor anybody. I'm very suspicious. If Varg is that crazy, then let him say what he has to say in the public sphere, and we'll handle it. Who am I talking to?
This would be Ernie.
Ernie. Again, didn't
Yes.
you just call me 10 minutes ago?
No, we didn't talk though. I guess, I don't know, hung up on. I don't know what it was.
Oh, yeah, I did. I hung up on you. What's up? Talk to me.
No, I was going to ask you, have you, you and Sori ever considered doing another hymn review? Because I got two requests. One for you, one for her.
Okay.
One would be a hymn song called Saint Valentine, which I think you would like, because it's like super heavy. I mean, not like death metal, black metal heavy, but it's heavy. You know, it's fast and heavy. And then the other one would be, for Sori, would be a song called Love the Hardest Way.
Love what?
Love the hardest way.
I don't. Yes.
Okay.
From the band him, because
Why does he think I would like it? Why do you think I would like it?
You weren't too ecstatic about. This line of the song is like, loves the devil counting teardrops in the rain. So I honestly would do those two reviews, and that'd be cool. You know, those, and then I remember because I'm the Wednesday 13 guy, the guy that asked you, because I know you saw them with Cradle and with Static. What do you think? What do you think of Wednesday 13?
That's the one, the guy that would like.
Wednesday 13 put on the best show as far as like visually.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And that
But the music.
You're breaking up, my guy.
Musically, you just thought it was like. Oh, sorry. You thought musically it was just subpar?
No, it wasn't subpar. I thought they were good musically too. I mean, obviously, I think Static X sounded really, really good. I mean, we were right there, like we were touching the stage because we had photo passes and such. So we heard pretty much most of the bands. All of them sounded pretty good from where we were. But the big thing that stuck out to me about Wednesday 13 was just how crazy the show was. I mean, they really put a lot of effort, and they were the second opening band. I mean, Raven went on and then they went on, and so that's a lot of money for them to spend to make the show good. So it wasn't that they were, subpar. It was just that the visuals were so crazy, and it was such an experience.
Did Sori trip out with the backwards mask?
Yes, I loved it.
Yeah, oh man, I cannot wait to do the review. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, because I can't wait to hear you guys' review of Cradle, because I know you love Cradle, and I hold Danny Phillip as like the modern day dark poet, and I know you hold Danny Phillip in high regard, so I'm just waiting for your review of the show. I don't know if you guys posted it yet, but I mean, you saw Cradle, so it's like,
Yeah, that Cradle review is coming up, and then the Static review is coming up, and we've been holding on to that for quite some time.
Well, we went to the Cradle show.
Okay, man. All right, I just wanted to know if you would do the hymn review, the two songs, Saint Valentine and Love the Hardest Way, and I just wanted to get your opinion if you saw Wednesday finally.
Yeah, we've actually already seen Wednesday. We saw Wednesday at the Cradle of Filth show because they were there too.
Yeah, so was Raven.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Although with Wednesday we were doing the Raven Black interview while Wednesday was on stage, so there's that.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first time that we actually saw them live, and it was quite the experience for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I've been the one asking if you would react to Wednesday and this and that, and but you finally saw them, so they cool, good times.
Cool, bro. Much love to you, my guy.
Bye.
All right, man, dude. All right, peace.
Hopefully, my man BM Fan can come on and repudiate the actions of Antifa. BM Fan, will you repudiate the violent actions of Antifa for what they did to that journalist? Before you do him, you have to do some Smashing Pumpkins. We've done a pumpkin song.
We did, yeah.
The Cradle show was much better because I was there with Vin and Sori. That's true. Yep.
Yeah. We posted saying we weren't sure if he was going to be there. We looked for him.
We were looking for you, musings. You were nowhere to be found. Hey, Rich, salam lech, buddy.
Yo, how are you guys?
Talk to me, my guy.
What's up?
Hi.
I'm pretty happy that Trump didn't take the bait and bomb Iran.
Yes, so am I.
Happy about that.
I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, we agree on that. I think the YouTube and Google should be treated as utility.
What do you mean by that?
Basic utility. Utility, as in you're on the phone. That's utility. You're not gonna censor someone on the phone and rip the phone out of their hand. So, free speech is free speech.
Yeah,
If
but
YouTube
YouTube
doesn't need protection.
Say again?
If it's popular speech, it doesn't need protection.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah. I say it's a utility. Just like the phone company, just like a newspaper. It's a private owned company. I understand freedom of association. I understand. But if you're going to get privileges from the Congress as to you're not a publicist, I guess is the term. They're not publishing the content, so they can't be sued for anything libelous or slander.
Right.
So it's a utility, just like the phone. You can't censor. That's how I think it should be handled.
Yeah, I hear you.
YouTube is asking for YouTubers to provide them content. They're begging for content. Now they censor. Now Patreon censors. Now everything censors. Because we know Silicon Valley's in the West and California is plenty Democrat, so they're not scared to what's the word? To reject what they accuse the right of.
Yep.
They reject. I see it that way.
Yeah, I hear you. It's
and
good.
Now this Jeffrey Epstein thing is just blowing up. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy world we live in. It's unbelievable.
Yes, sir.
It's unbelievable.
And you haven't done baby metal yet.
We never will, because Japan is notorious for copyright striking people.
Not for the live one.
Yeah.
Redemption has been out there without other YouTubers. I think it beats any of the crowd reactions you saw so far. Okay.
All right,
That's
man.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Bye.
I need BM Fan to call me. He sent me some video. Obviously, I can't watch the video right now. I just need to know, BM Fan, that you are repudiating the actions of those people who attacked that journalist. And if you don't repudiate the actions, please call me and explain to me how that could possibly be justified. Zonia, you're supposed to be asleep. What's wrong with you? And I think Matthew Midea said something too about, he wasn't a victim or something like that. Hold on. We have a pacifier alert. A Nookie alert. Don't worry. I'm coming to the rescue. I'm getting you a Nookie. There you are.
My hero.
I'm a hero. The journalist isn't a saintly victim of evil. What does that mean? What do you mean the journalist was terrible? Somebody call me and explain to me how this could possibly, this beating that this journalist took. Somebody call me and explain to me how this is possibly justified. Yeah. I don't see how violence is ever an acceptable response either. It's just not a good look, y'all. I'm telling you, these people are going to do it to the wrong person. He was more than just a conservative. Okay. Remember that video of that Chinese guy, Vietnamese dude that beat the hell out of him?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get BM Fan to repudiate it publicly. He won't do it.
Why not?
Interesting.
Do you think?
Any advice on how to ask Christ to be in your life? Well, Ethan, I think the easiest thing is just to, get by yourself and tell him just that. Tell him you don't know all the ins and outs and what you're supposed to do, but you're willing to try if he's willing to try, and I'm sure he'll answer you. And obviously, if you've got questions, email us. We'll try to help you out and give you an invitation to some of the Bible bashes, and off you go. Yeah, I've watched a couple Antifa videos. He shouldn't have been attacked by anyone. I appreciate that, Matthew Maeda, but the way you said that he wasn't just some innocent victim. So I don't understand how that squares with what you just said. It seems to me that a lot of people are just trying to justify physically assaulting this guy, and that's a problem to me. I want to know what specifically this man did to warrant these violent assaults. That's what I need to know. He deserved the milkshakes and silly string, not the punching, but as said, the guy is known for deliberately antagonizing. Oh my God. BM fan. I don't even know where to begin with such a bullshit answer. This is the complete hypocrisy of some people on the left. I am sorry. But if a gang of white men beat up a black woman who was antagonizing them, and then somebody got into a public forum and said, well, she deserved the milkshakes and the other stuff, but she didn't, hey. Like, people would be losing their mind in righteous indignation. This is unbelievable to me. It's still assault. Of course it's still assault, Mike. It's still assault. And again, these Antifa people, like I say, I ran into people like this my entire life in the hood. They know who to mess with and they know who not to mess with. And, that type of attitude is going to get somebody killed. If you come out and you're on a far left or the far right, people are going to antagonize you. I've been on a sidewalk speaking out against abortion, and people have gotten in our face. They threw water at our kids, blah, 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 blah,
Spit
blah.
on us.
And I spit on us. I told everybody in our crew, we do not respond at all. Mm-hmm. So we've been out there and have been antagonized, and we could control ourselves. Mm-hmm. Are you trying to tell me that these kids are justified in attacking that guy because he was being antagonistic? Did he put any hands on those people?
Yeah.
This is mind-boggling to me. It is absolutely mind-boggling.
So is he on the line?
No, he's not on the line. Oh. Here's the justification. You realize that he's done action which can also result in people getting killed. What has he done, BM fan? Call me and explain to me what this man has done. He's physically assaulted people? What are you talking about? And people are misconstruing why I'm mad about this stuff. I'm not mad because of the isolated incident of somebody being assaulted. What I'm mad about is a couple things. One, if people on the left or the far left or whatever you want to, the resistance, whatever you want to call yourself, if you don't think that all of this is not political capital for Trump, you're wrong.
Right.
He's going to play these videos over and over again. They took this old white dude and took a crowbar to his head. How do you think that's going to go in middle America?
Right.
Furthermore, does that mean that the Proud Boys are allowed to physically assault people if a gay leftist person was quote unquote antagonizing them? Should they be able to put hands on people too? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Right, I'm Death Fan. Now, I know, BM Fan, that you're not a homophobic racist, but he has got a point. Because if this was reversed and it was a bunch of old white cis men attacking an antagonistic black trans lesbian, and M. Death Fan said whatever he said to justify that bullshit, you'd be calling him a racist and a homophobe and all the rest of it. This is insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, so here it is. I was put on an Adam Waffen kill list of journalists taken straight from an article published at Quillette, where he's an editor. Last year, I was punched in the face by a Proud Boy on film while reporting, but Andy was too busy playing victim to mine. His work supports violence. No, not the same thing. Not the same thing. The ignorant fools in Proud Boys attacked this guy. That guy did not say, go and attack this guy if you see him on sight. Mm-hmm. Nice try. It's not the same thing. These are kids who, first of all, are full of privilege. Because if it was a gang of black dudes doing that, he would be arrested or shot. We just had a black kid getting his throat slit because he was listening to rap too much. Jeez. So this is people using their privilege to act in a violent manner. And what did the old white guy do that was beaten, had his head smashed in with a crowbar, BM fan? How are you going to justify that?
Didn't somebody get sprayed in the face with pepper spray?
Yeah, of course.
Like
of course. Girl? Yeah. This is unbelievable. I mean, man, I'm telling you, these guys are gonna mess around and get themselves killed. Then we'll see how revolutionary we really are. Mm-hmm. It's some cowardly shit. You got 4 dudes, 5 dudes jumping on one guy. You got dudes going after dudes with crowbars. Why don't they do rallies at Minister Farrakhan's rallies then, BM fan? Because why don't they do that? Why don't they go after Minister Farrakhan and his people? They're saying, quote, hate speech all the time.
Wow, Pony, that's true.
You know why? Because they don't want no smoke with those people. Because that's how cowards operate. Mm-hmm. They always choose out the weak and people that they think are not gonna reciprocate. But believe me, one of these days y'all are gonna miscalculate and people are gonna get really hurt. I'm very, very surprised that you're justifying this. Honestly, BM fan. Honestly.
Silver, this is Vin's idea of chill. She's like, this is not chill time. It said chill time. This is just more arguing with BM fan. This is how Vin chills.
They're not messing with Farrakhan's boys. They know this. Yeah, they know that. And they're going to say, well, they're black, so we're not doing it. Nah, that's not the reason. Because you know them boys will smoke you out. Unbelievable.
Gary, what are the true problems that they're covering up? Pony, don't you hate when you have those nights when you're just moody? I hate it when I'm moody. You do, Hex. He's right here.
Right, I'm yours, sir. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Right, XBM. Farrakhan wishes some white boys with a Che Guevara shirt wanted some smoke with him. They wish. You out your damn mind. I don't care if they're black or whatever. I don't care about any of that. I'm telling you that if they did that with Farrakhan or the wrong group of people, there's going to be some smoke. I guarantee you.
Have you ever... No, I think you're right. Any of the interactions that I've ever seen, they're always going after people that don't look like they want to fight.
Right. They just
and
then when the Pride Boys went at him, they didn't do very well.
Right.
Well, and it's bananas to me that these people don't realize like what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Trump is going to put all that shit in a collage, and then he's going to put all he's going to put the fact that nobody from the left did anything to repudiate Antifa, and that's going to be that. Unbelievable.
Jesse, was this it? Was this the candy? I never did it with the kids because I couldn't remember where this candy came from and I didn't want to announce. These were the ones I'm curious about. Shoot, one thing.
Hold on, let me. Yeah, I want to see Antifa show up to a one percenter biker gang or a Hell's Angel biker gang convention. I want to see that happen. Y'all do that. Don't talk to me about revolution. Revolutionaries. I've met actual people that are willing to go and fight and die to overthrow bad regimes. I've sat with them. These people are not those people. They're soft and they're not willing to die. They're cowards and they something weak, and I guarantee you somebody's gonna die over this shit. Because these kids are playing cute.
Oh, I know, yeah.
These kids think they're cute. Stupid. All right. So I'm done talking about Antifa because the Antifa apologists are not calling in to back up their BS. And I love you, BM fan, but I'm telling you, bro, and BM fan, I'm telling you, do not. You should be very, very, very careful about how you conduct yourself in public, my guy.
Does he go involve himself with that?
I mean, I'm not, I don't know.
Hopefully not.
I'm just saying, it's just a matter of time before y'all really get tested. And I would hate for something to happen to you because I love you as a brother. I do. But you're dead wrong here. Go outside of America and deal with some actual people who actually are out there to foment revolution and see what their mentality is. These are people who are like, let me go and kill this head of state so that it'll set off like they're ready to go and do shit. Antifa is not that. They're not revolutionaries. They're cowards. Good Lord. Here's Kellendroth. Separate from the issue of whether it was right to physically assault him. What do you mean whether it was right to physically... All right. This is what happens. I'm sorry, but leftists seem to have a real problem with free speech. They still don't get it. It's free speech. Even if they say things you don't like, you get to put your hand.
I thought he said the opposite of what you said.
No.
He said, what we should be talking about is whether violence like that is ever justified.
No, he's saying he's not worthy of your defense, meaning the journalist. Because if you scroll up here...
Then why did he say...
If you scroll up here, you'll see him. Separate from the issue of whether it was right to physically assault him, Engo, I don't know his name, is a bad dude. So it's one of those like blame apologies, like I'm sorry, but you're such a bad person that it's ridiculous. Wow. Good Lord. The entire rant was missed due to lag. Did the kids are you sure the kids are all offline? I think somebody's sneaking in some online time here. Or is the Illuminati, or maybe it's BM fan. Maybe he hacked the family server because he didn't like my speech. See, they were on the internet. They lied. Kellendross. That is not true. Furthermore, these people physically assaulted him and you're acting like it's debatable. This is not debatable. And as I said before, these people attack people who are not just writing articles that get people hurt. Has this journalist ever written anything that has he directly ever said these people need to be assaulted? Has the journalist ever said that? And if he has, please produce the article for me. Please produce the article where this journalist said, you need to go and assault these people. And then they're saying, oh, he's written stuff that's led to assaults on LGBTQ people. Hello, he's gay! So if somebody takes what he says and says, I'm going to go and assault someone, unless he explicitly directed them to do so, that's not on him.
Right. Attack
the people that attacked you. Don't attack him. Good night. See, this is the mentality. The lack of understanding and awareness is that's going to lead to another Trump presidency. It's unbelievable. Don't forget Skid Row. I will not forget, Brian. I appreciate you.
Who guessed the number?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The magic number. Remember you said on the next fireside?
Yes. Nobody gave us a magic number yet.
Okay, so give us the magic number.
Right.
I have it. It's in my notes.
You think YPG is Antifa? YPG is not Antifa, BN fan. Right, Batushka. All the idiots who used Marilyn Manson as an excuse to go kill somebody. I mean, Marilyn Manson has a song reflecting God. When I'm God, everybody dies. So I guess that means some evangelical Christians should have assaulted Marilyn Manson because the two Columbine shooters, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, were giant Manson fans. So I guess that means then that we should find Manson on site and physically assault him. Silly.
Would you debate anything?
I wouldn't debate a vegan because I don't think there's anything to debate.
Mm-hmm. Stephen Doss said he did it twice. Gave the magic number. Okay, I'm watching the stream, the comment section. So if you know the magic number, write it because I'm not scrolling back up. I'm doing it from this point forward.
Yeah, I know you cannot yell fire in a movie theater, Gersock, but what I need somebody to do is produce me a document where this journalist specifically and explicitly incited people to do violence. And if he did that, there are legal recourses in order to solve that problem. What you don't do is put your hands on somebody that says something that you don't agree with. That's my problem. And the reason I'm upset about this is because people are going to die over this shit very quickly. Believe you me, because they're going to misread somebody and think that they're by themselves and dudes are going to come out the woodwork. And if you can't see that, I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but if you cannot see that this is not going to lead to anything good, then you're off. Hello, the majority of the people that Antifa are against are right-wingers, and those people love their guns. So all they need is for one of these idiots to do something on camera, and then they can blast them off into eternity on site.
People guessing all these random numbers. But, Brian got it. So, Brian, just let me know what you want for your song. You should message it now.
He doesn't have it.
What do you mean he doesn't have it?
The whole point of the
Here.
That's not the number.
Yes, it was. You said it at the end of one of the reviews. You said if anybody says
fair.
it on the next thing, they get a free review.
He got it. I'm not lumping all of you together. I'm just saying the double standards and hypocrisy of the left as a whole are going to end up buying Mr. Trump another 4 years. So, well, I mean, why didn't anybody help him instead of grabbing cell phones to record it? Because they didn't want to get in the midst of an angry mob and get the hell beat out of them too. That's why. So the best thing to do was record it. I will tell you, if I was there, I absolutely would have got in the middle of that. I guarantee you that. These kids are crazy. Going in there, telling people where to go with traffic and all the rest of that shit. You saw that video?
No.
Stupid.
Telling people.
Stupid.
Brian. Oh, it's a song review or a shirt. You want the song review? Which song?
He won, right? This is the guy that won?
Brian, yeah.
ALDIN. I'm not lumping you in with all leftists. What I said was generally. Groups have general ideologies and perspectives. So I'm not talking about you in specific. I'm talking about leftists in general. That's what I'm talking about. That's all I'm saying. No, Rambler, I've shot multiple videos going off against right-wingers. The problem is that the folks, there's some who I love dearly in this channel who are justifying physically assaulting someone, and a journalist in particular. Journalists, of all people, need to be left alone. And again, if this gay Vietnamese person was assaulted this way at a MAGA rally, all of you same people would be saying, oh, it's homophobic, Trump, blah, 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 the cops didn't do anything, white privilege, yada, yada, yada. So now the next time some gay kid or some black kid gets assaulted, I don't want to hear from y'all. Because all the person has to use antagonist. He wrote a blog, and
That's
some
crazy.
side blog did something. My friend, it's completely justified. Well, it's a question we can debate. That's the same silly music. Good night. Kellendross, sorry. Sorry. If this guy would have been attacked. So you're sure all of them are off the internet?
Yeah.
Are you off? You're still on. You're the culprit.
Well, how are we supposed to get... Oh, yeah. Okay, I need to...
Sori is the culprit.
Which one did he say? I was trying to...
Hey, the person who won, say again what song request you want. I think it was like Skid Row or something like that. He's
Desperate Cry, right there.
Okay. All I was saying was I was calling BS on Kellendross's. Nobody's saying the beating was justified. It was just he wasn't a good guy, which is complete bullshit. Kellendross, if that same gay Vietnamese guy would have been assaulted at a MAGA rally, you would not be saying that shit. Don't lie. Neither would you, BM fan. You'd be saying, here we go. This is Trump. This is what he does. That's what you'd be saying. But because it's your socialist, communist, fascist motherfuckers that you support, it's okay. And all I'm saying is that's a very dangerous, slippery slope. Because now, if I want to go mix somebody, all I have to do is say, hey, he wrote a blog post that got my friend beat up. Yep. So now he's open season.
Yep.
I think the smart thing to do, if you're on the left, is to not engage in violence. Because y'all cannot engage in violence the way that right-wingers do. They're at the range right now. Right-wingers are on the range right now. They're better shots than you. Listen, I've been in situations around some really, really, really good shots. None of them were leftists. I'm not saying I was never on a team of leftists, with leftists. But I'm telling you, right-wingers know how to handle their guns. It's stupid.
Hey, Ryan.
Good gosh. And I love everybody. I love you, Kellandros. I love you, BM Fan. I love y'all. You would not. I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Kellandros. I don't believe if that gay dude would have got assaulted at a MAGA convention, you'd have been saying that. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah, and I'm still waiting. Somebody get me the article where this journalist explicitly called for assaulting someone. Because I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
that's what y'all, that's the justification that you're using.
Because so many times people say, oh, that person said this, or there's like this small clip, and then you watch the whole thing and you're like, that's not at all what they said. There's so many times that you say something that I'm like, oh no, somebody could take that little clip, you know what I mean?
Well,
taking something out of context.
Well, and the other thing is, should we then, if we go to a concert and it just so happens that Deicide is at the concert, can I attack the lead singer because he made a song called "Kill the Christians"?
Right.
Talking about burn downing our church. Can I go and assault that man?
Right.
Unbelievable. Anyway, you're an anti-abortion leftist, Vin, as am I, much more moderate on abortion issue. Okay. Just use drugs, Vin 2019.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, the reason I'm upset is it's like, okay, it's obvious to me that these people don't realize why Trump won.
Stevenson, you can, Vin, but it would not be justified.
Right. What do you need to put together, Kellandros? If he's that bad of a guy and he's explicitly telling that people that they need to be attacked, why do you need to do research and compile evidence? Just direct me to the article.
Right.
Direct me to the article where he explicitly stated that people need to be attacked, especially people in the LGBT community, of which he is a member.
Right. That's ridiculous.
Good Lord. The baby's good. The baby's good. I appreciate the baby. I love the baby. Like I said, if this is the first time you're watching this, me, BM Fan, and Kellandros, we all love each other like brothers. We're just completely on the opposite side on free speech, apparently. Sure, Burnman. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with labels. Call me a leftist. I'm fine with it. One of my major issues with this Antifa bullshit is the fact that you're almost guaranteeing a Trump re-election. That's a problem for me. It's not going to get us Medicare for all, that's for sure. Yeah. Get me the article where he explicitly stated that people need to be attacked. Well, I made a fair point about Marilyn Manson too. Marilyn Manson has songs that instigate violence, reflecting God. When I'm God, everyone dies. Scar, scar, do you feel my power? Shoot hair and the world gets smaller.
Right.
Hello? But if some crazy right-wing Christian would have attacked Marilyn Manson, y'all would be all over the place. Unbelievable. I'm gonna have to research it myself because apparently
nobody can send you the
nobody can send me the link where he specifically incited anyone toward violence. So I'm going to have to Google myself. That's the reason BM Fan didn't jump on and call me. Right. Because he knew that he can come at me with that weak shit. I know that Snopes is very violent, is very biased. And we did an expose of one of these fact-checking websites where we completely expose them for the liars and the bullshit artists that they are.
Yeah.
But I still want to see it. Babe, I need the charger for the is this a charger for the laptop?
Yep.
Okay, because
I have everything set up for us in here now.
we're about to die here.
Easy to grab.
Okay, I got it. What's up, Blake? Let's talk about something else. What do you guys got? Somebody was talking about raisins in their ice cream.
Oh, they were talking about all kinds of different ice cream that they like.
Which is actually pretty interesting because
why you like ice cream?
Well, in Jamaica, that was all they had. They had vanilla, and then they had like this vanilla with raisins on it.
That's gross.
Actually, it's pretty good.
Gross.
Yeah, we'll let everybody argue about the lyrical content. Did you see the white rapper that used the N-word in his song?
Uh-oh.
No, I didn't see it. But
shouldn't have done that.
He better roll with some Antifa guys so they could do security for him. Because those Antifa kids, they're all gangsters, those kids. Going after that journalist by themselves. Good Lord. Yeah, homelessness and disease. Yeah, it's a very strange thing to me because like apparently in Cali you're allowed to just go to the bathroom like number 2 on the street.
That's gross. Where?
In Cali, I think.
Why would anybody want to even do that?
Well, I mean, they're homeless. I mean, I don't know. But
yeah, but behind a tree. Not like right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure why. Lil Dicky used the word in his Freaky Friday video. Yeah, I mean, you know, the word doesn't do anything for me either way. So I don't really care that much. Your favorite noodle shapes. My favorite noodle shape is rigatoni. So I don't know what that.
Yeah, that'd be a shape.
Yeah.
My favorite is anything that's different. So I like the ones that are like circles that look like a wheel, or in those I look everywhere and I can hardly ever find them. I just like stuff that's kind of different. Honestly, it really depends on what I'm eating, because if it's like macaroni and cheese, I like the shells because I like how the shells like catch some of the cheese. If it's spaghetti, then I like to have, I used to like the little tiny angel hair, but I don't like that anymore. Now I like the thicker stuff.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's from being with you because that's what you like. I'm not sure. I used to love it, but now I like the thicker stuff. Has anybody ever tried spaghetti squash? You like bake it and then you dig it out with a fork and it's like all stringy like spaghetti and you put sauce on it.
Mm-hmm.
You've never tried that. Don't. Mm-hmm. If you guys ask any questions, Velveeta shells and cheese for Sori. Sorry. Yes, see, that's the best. Oh. Silver, rigatoni that's like, basically it's like a noodle that's like as thick as your finger. And it's about like tall like this. And it's empty in the middle. It's just like a circle. Like if you had a fat straw. That's basically what it is. Yeah, I had spaghetti squash when I was pregnant, and then that did me in. There was too much because nobody else in the family liked it, and I hated it going to waste. And so then I was trying to eat it so it wouldn't waste, and it grossed me out, and then I overdid it now. I don't like SpaghettiOs. I used to when I was like a teenager, but I think I'm hitting that age now. Like, I remember older people would be like, I don't eat McDonald's because it makes my stomach upset and stuff. And I was like, what? I could eat McDonald's all day long. But now I'm kind of like at that point where I'm like, SpaghettiOs, ravioli, all that kind of stuff I'm not like a fan of anymore.
Zucchini bread. You do good with zucchini bread, babe.
Oh my word. I have an awesome zucchini bread recipe. But we don't have a garden, so usually you get those giant zucchinis. You know, when you lose track of them in your garden, those are perfect for making zucchini bread. But so who gets up in the middle of the night for the baby? Vin or Sori? Take a guess. Because he is an insomniac, it takes him forever to fall asleep, and so like I'll go to sleep like around like 3 or 4. Now it's been around 3 or 4 that I'm like, okay, I can't do it anymore. And then I crash out, and then he's awake for another like couple of hours. And then when he finally falls asleep, I feel too bad to wake him up. So I've done it a couple times where I've been like, Vin, change the baby. But I don't, he said that he's not used to being woken up like that. He needs to be like, Vin.
Well, obviously, if you're whispering sweet nothings into my ear, I'm not going to wake up. So.
I wake up very easily like that, so I'm like... But I don't like waking people up when they're sleeping, and I think to myself, if I wake him up, he might have a hard time going back to sleep, and I know I'll go back to sleep. So I end up just doing it. I just got frustrated when I didn't wake him up throughout the night, and then he was like, as if you left the dirty diaper on the changing table. I'm like, as if you slept through the entire thing when the baby was screaming.
Well, again, you just have to wake me up. But, you know, that is what that is.
I don't even know who this is. Who just messaged me? Tell me who you are. You must have
Rapinoe living in conservatives' head. Yeah, that soccer player. Man, those right wingers hate that lady.
Which one?
The soccer player, the blonde one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize this, but sports figures are pretty freaking. They get played off of their game when they have to deal with outside stuff. So they always tell you, turn off your Twitter and Instagram and all that. And these ladies were taking it to Trump while they're competing in the World Cup. It was pretty amazing. I've never seen something like that before, and they just completely dominated. It was crazy. Shout out to Australia. How'd your team do, Dan? How did the Australian women's soccer team? Did they even qualify?
You're terrible.
All my English people, my homegirl hit that score. She went like this. She drank her tea. She put her pinky up. Much love to y'all, but y'all lost. We stomped you out. We worked you in 1776 and we worked you in 2019 with your British self.
Zonia, I thought you were supposed to be in bed. Remind me tomorrow, Zonia.
What?
What's Orion's favorite Tool song?
That's a good question.
I don't know. He hasn't heard any Tool yet, has he?
Ooh, Orion?
Yeah.
Well, you were pregnant when we did the Anima live list.
Yeah, but he's been listening to Pain of Salvation.
Video replay was sexist? I didn't catch that part.
James, I used the biggest zucchinis ever, and my zucchini bread was moist and awesome. The big ones aren't good if you're like sautéing them. That's too much. But when you're just making bread out of it, use those big ones all day long, and the bread comes out awesome if you use my recipe. I have a crumb topping that goes on it.
Touche. Touche, Steven. Oreo needs to hear that Nightwish DVD from Pony. If I flew out to Maine, would you be my chauffeur for the weekend? I would. I'd take you anywhere you want to go. Yeah, I don't care, I'm Death fan. It's all good. It's all good. You know what's awesome about being a middle-aged white male? Everything. Oh, man. Yeah, no, XBM, I'm not really impressed with Deontay Wilder either, to be honest with you. And I think also, on a completely unrelated topic, I think Kawhi is completely overrated. People are losing their minds over Kawhi Leonard, and he's really not that good. He's not as good as people think he is. Are there places to go in Maine? Nah, fam. Not at all.
Are there places to go? Why would you say no?
Where? Where?
What does it say on every single license plate in Maine? Vacation land. That's because, okay, you can't ask him. If you are coming up in the summertime, there's Boothbay Harbor, there's Bar Harbor, there's boating that you can do, there's whale watching that you can do. They have, like, there's different walks, like mountainous areas that you can climb that have really pretty views when you get to the top. He hasn't done any of these things. He basically sits in this room and works. So yeah, there's like lots of like things like that, and then there's the different festivals and stuff that there are, but they're like, if you're used to like big areas, they would be considered like quaint. So like there will be like the Freiburg Fair, you know, they're gonna have the animal section, and then they'll have some rides and some food and stuff like that, and you can just kind of go around or whatever. But like, it's not like, I think a lot of people come to Maine for the scenery and for the ocean view and stuff like that. But the oceans are very cold here. Even like midsummer, the oceans are like, you know, like you have to kind of get in and let your body like acclimate to that freezing cold water, like numb up, and then you're good. But it's fun. You don't have to worry about sharks. That's a
perk, I guess.
Pretty, yeah. The sharks are like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I've heard you
you're
make some great beer, but we've never tried it.
If you're a nature person,
yeah,
sure. But I mean, look, all the rock shows that we have to go this summer, we've got to go out of state.
Right.
So
there's no, I mean,
what does that tell you?
I'm sure that there's gun ranges around here, but most like Mainers are shooting in their backyards or like in sand pits close to their house. They're not like, let's go down to the range.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point, Stephen Doss, that is the internet connection, and we've got the best one. That's the other thing.
I did target practice one time, and they were calling me Annie Oakley. Just saying.
You were taking care of business.
I was. Well, they were not moving targets. It was like a board. They had a bunch of balloons on it, and I was like, it was, but the kickback, well, I had a big, like, a rifle. I don't know, babe. I don't know what it was. But I had a big one, and, like, they were like, you know, there's going to be some kickback. So I shot it off, and I was like, whoa, okay. And then my uncle was, like, looking through his sight when the kickback happened. That friggin' thing cut into his head, and there was so much blood. I was like, oh, my God.
Who was a better writer, the Apostle Paul or King Solomon? I'm going to give that to my man, Paul.
Okay, wait, Paul or Solomon?
Who was a better writer?
What did Solomon write?
Ecclesiastes.
Oh, Ecclesiastes.
And some Proverbs. And Song of Solomon.
That's personal opinion, I guess. They're both different because I think Solomon has more, like, romantic language in his writing, but Paul has, like, it's deep in theology and it's rich.
Romans 8 to me is the most amazing chapter in all of human history, period.
Yeah.
Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? No, in all these things we're more than conquerors through him who loved us. Mm-hmm. Forget it.
Right.
Who can lay any charge against God's elect? It is God who justifies.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, who is there to condemn? Christ Jesus, who died. More than that, who was raised to life, is also at the right hand of the Father interceding for us. It's just crazy. It's Paul all day. Paul all day.
Yeah. For me, it depends on which mood I'm in. Oh, also, there's four-wheeling in Maine. If you've ever been four-wheeling, that's fun. Did you say that you would do it for me, but that's not something you'd be interested in? For me, four-wheeling is a friggin' blast. I love going through the mud and, like, just tearing it up out there. I really... But you know what? I've actually never driven one. I've only ridden on the backs of other people's. I mean, I've driven it like a short distance, but not like, hey, like, let's go very far. we went on a trip one time where we like all loaded up and we like went super, super far on our 4-wheelers, and everything, like so much stuff went wrong. Like I swear the gods were against us. I can't believe nobody died. Like the first little bit, like one of the older guys, he went flying. The front of his motorcycle, the front of his 4-wheeler hit this rock, and he friggin' flipped over it. And this guy was like in his 60s. It was like kind of like one of those things where you like kind of like feel like nervous laughing because you're like, I can't believe that just happened. He went flying over it. He was bleeding from his head. Somebody was like using baby wipes to clean him up. He kept going. It started hailing so bad at one point that we all had to get off our 4-wheelers and hide underneath the trees. I was laughing so hard. Different 4-wheelers kept falling apart. We had to keep stopping and like trying to like tack the parts back together. Like there was mad stuff went wrong on that trip. It was hilarious. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Yeah, and there's jet skiing.
Yes,
yeah.
Rich, I have.
You have what? Where are you?
Vin, why do you think David went to such extremes to get Bathsheba? Could we safely say he was a coward? Well, I don't think he went to extremes to get Bathsheba. He got her for the night, and then he wanted Uriah to go sleep with her after. And because he wouldn't do it, he did some extreme things, but that was more to protect himself than his desire to be with Bathsheba. I have a question about postmillennialism, please. Ask away! My man M. Deathfan in the house.
Silver, are you serious? You must have wrecked it.
What? What'd she do?
I once drove a 4-wheeler into the ocean.
Literally? She didn't literally.
I have seen stuff that's like a 4-wheeler that goes on the water, so I don't know if that's what she's talking about. Bears like to eat 4-wheelers.
That would be crazy.
Going on the ocean like that?
Yeah.
Ski doing is fun, yeah.
Do you know what doctors call motorcycle riders, 3-wheel riders, and ATV riders organ donors?
Yeah, I know. I used to work at a hospital.
There's there's been one a week for the last 3 weeks in Maine. It's terrible.
My brother's thinking about getting a bike again. I'm like, are you serious?
I told the kids, I said, if you ever get a motorcycle, I don't even care if you're a grown man or a woman. I'm going to your house. I'm going to destroy that thing.
Right.
I mean,
I'm going to distract the kid in the house, and he's going to take a crowbar to the thing.
I mean, good Lord.
My brother had one, and then my dad kept praying that something would happen to it, and the thing kept breaking and breaking and breaking. My brother never got to really drive it. I told my brother, I said, if you get another one, I personally am going to start praying that the thing breaks down so you don't drive it.
How can it be derived in the Bible that the modern world will somehow find peace when you read Matthew 24:22? I'm assuming that that's the wars and rumors of wars passage in Matthew 22. Are you going to it, babe? Or no?
No, I just saw a message that came in, so I was checking it out. But what do you want me to look up?
Well, he's at the Olivet Discourse.
Do you want Logos?
I'm Deaf Fan. When did Jesus say that those things were going to happen? When did Jesus place those events? Did he place them in the far future or the near future? The Bible's not specific on the rapture and when it will take place. Right, because there is no rapture.
Silver, you must have wrecked it.
Hey!
What's cracking, homie?
Talk to me.
So,
how'd your Australian women's team do?
They got smashed.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Hey, I would tell you I know the feeling, but I don't. So, my condolences.
Yeah, in the words of the chef from Shitty Walk, stupid American. Yeah.
What's up, bruh?
So, yeah, not a whole lot, dude. So, have you heard any of the stuff about Israel Folau? Big time rugby union international?
Yeah, somebody brought it up. That's the guy that said all that stuff about gay people, said Jesus told him to say it, and then he got fired, right, from his rugby team?
Yeah, so basically, it's not the first time he'd had discussions and had put out some tweets and shit on Instagram, basically saying God is my savior. You know, all gays and fornicators and things like that will burn in hell. Yada yada yada. Right?
Uh-huh.
So in his renewal contract, they put a clause in it that if he was to do any more of that stuff, any more inflammatory language, I guess, towards that side of the spectrum, then his contract was going to be automatically terminated.
Yeah.
So he then went and did it again, and of course his contract was terminated. And then he started a fucking GoFundMe, right? And the GoFundMe, he did this small little Instagram, YouTube video saying, you know, I'm trying to be an advocate for free speech and all this sort of stuff. And this is a guy that's worth millions of dollars.
Well, I was gonna say, isn't he already a millionaire?
Oh yeah. He's I can't remember. He's either a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness, one of the two, right?
Okay.
And his all the stuff he was putting out and all the inflammatory speech and all that jazz. Yeah, he started the GoFundMe, raised like almost $1 million or something like that, and then that GoFundMe cancelled it because there was a big outcry of people. Right?
Yeah.
But what's your view on this? Being a Christian, right? Do you feel like, I know you wouldn't do that, you're not that kind of Christian, but do you feel it's well within his rights to say things like that? And because the reason I'm bringing this up is because you were talking about the sportsman before.
Yeah.
And do you feel it's well within his rights, and is that okay for him to be doing things like that? Like,
well,
he's lost his job and his livelihood, so, you know.
Yeah, I don't know the exact specifics of what he said. He probably quoted 1 Corinthians 6, because when you talk about, you know, homosexuals, fornicators, robbers, thieves will not inherit the kingdom of God.
Yeah, he did. There was definitely a Corinthians reference, yeah.
Yeah, that must have been 1 Corinthians 6. You know, look, he's obviously, as a Christian, the more Bible in the ether, the better. For me, though, if you get persecuted, if you face consequences for your faith in Christ, you're supposed to embrace that. You're not supposed to run from it. And you're not supposed to make yourself out to be a martyr because you got in trouble for speaking your convictions. We actually had
he's definitely not running from it. He's fighting the contract law. That was the whole reason for the GoFundMe.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by it. What I'm saying is he should just accept it. He should say, okay, I'm out. I lost my job, whatever, but I did it for the gospel and keep it moving. It's very hard for me to respect that move when you're doing everything you can to not face the consequences of it.
Right. Because
there's Christians all over the world that don't get that opportunity. They say that they're a Christian, they're getting their head chopped off. So to me, it's like you got to choose. If either you're going to be a pampered Westerner or you're going to be a radical Christian, and if that's the case, then you have to bear the consequences of that action, and you can't complain about it. Mm-hmm.
You feel he's being a bit weak, like those Antifa fuckwads?
I would not compare him to Antifa because, to my knowledge, he didn't put a hand on anybody. And I'm not even... What I'm saying is, you can't have it both ways. If you're going to be a pampered Westerner and say, oh, I got fired, so help me out, even though I'm already a millionaire... Okay, then be a pampered Westerner, but don't act like a Christian martyr, because that's never been in our tradition. If you're gonna pay the price and pay the price all the way, don't half step it. So that's where I come from with it. The GoFundMe thing in response to this is a weak move to me.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I mean, the guy should be able to say what he wants to say, but I mean, when you're a sportsman and you've got, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of gays and LGBTQ people that like rugby union. That's definitely not the image that Rugby Union Australia is trying to portray, and he's an international athlete.
Yeah.
So I fully respect their decision to get rid of him.
Well, I agree. They put that in. And the other thing is, you know, the scripture says, let your yes be yes and your no be no, which means if you say you're going to do something, you got to do your best to do it. So if you signed a contract where they told you either don't say this stuff or temper your speech or whatever, and he signed a contract, then he got what he got.
Well, apparently it was very specific too. It was very specifically, like, it wasn't, don't say things about God and things like that. It's don't antagonize minorities, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that was, you know more about it than me. That was already in the contract. From a scriptural perspective, if you let your yes be yes, you've already said what you had to say. But again, it seems to me, and you weren't at the Bible Bash, but so it's one of the biggest issues that I have with modern evangelical Christianity is this obsession with going after the LGBT community. And then when they respond, because they've dealt with our BS for the last 30 years, when they respond, now all of a sudden you want to play the martyr. Like, that bothers me. I've said it a bunch of times. The term abomination has been used multiple times in the Old Testament, and the majority of the time it's about heterosexuals. So I don't understand the obsession with the LGBT community in the the evangelical Christian milieu. And so my thing is, all right, man, you said whatever you had to say before. Why do you have to keep harping on it? You already signed a contract. I mean, wouldn't it be the time then to say, no, I'm not signing that contract? Like, if you were really,
I agree.
If you were really about it like that, if your gangster was that high, why sign the contract, start collecting the millions, knowing full well you're going to violate the contract? Why would you?
It's strange because he's a very, very devout Christian, right? So he started in rugby league, which is my bag. I really love rugby league. All my kids play rugby league.
Yeah.
And when he left rugby league, he then went and took a year off to go and pilgrim and I don't know what they call it, to go and preach, I guess, to third world countries and stuff like that. What do they call it? A mission. He's a missionary for it.
Yeah.
And he went and did that, man, a whole year off his career, and he was a massive star at the time, like one of the highest paid players in the rugby league. And then he moved to rugby union and started with all because he was really quiet before then, like he barely did interviews and things like that. And then as soon as he went to rugby union, man, he just started talking, and like he's just turned himself into an idiot. I don't know what's going on, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my opinion on it anyway.
No, thanks very much, man. You take it easy. Enjoy. It's good to see you on the fireside.
For sure.
Hope the fan bam's all doing well. How's little Oreo going?
Oreo's doing good. He's doing really, really, really good.
Yeah, I've noticed he's starting to look like he's got a little more coffee in his cream now. He's darkening it up.
Yeah, he's still got blue eyes though. How real is that?
Yeah. Oh, all right, man. Yeah. The wife, she says she's following you guys now just for the baby photos. So she's like, every time she sees a photo of him, she's like, "Oh, my ovaries."
That's a good one. That's a good one. Much love to you.
All right, man. Take it easy. Love ya.
Bye.
Love you too, buddy. It's my man D Park Moore. M Death Man, if you're still in the house, Jesus said all that stuff would happen within that generation. So that's why I'm a postmillennialist, because all that stuff happened in that generation. And so now we have a bright future to look forward to, and we don't have a bad future to look forward to because all the bad stuff already happened. No, I haven't seen that XB. I'll go check that out. Wolverine is a Christian. That's very, very interesting.
When exactly was the time we need to go back to? Be specific. What's that? What's he?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, me neither. I hit a baby.
So he M Death Fan asked me a question about Matthew 22, 24. Mm-hmm. So that was my answer.
Uh-huh.
All right, guys, 5 minutes. Yes, Zombie Rider, I am breaking out the preterism. You already know, bruh. You already know. You don't know about that, but okay. Well, M Death Fan, it's cool. Just look at the verse. He says that it happened in this generation. Isn't that what he said? in verse 34. This generation will not pass away until all these things take place.
I really want to be post-mill.
Good, Seth. Be post-mill.
So you can be. Did you get a dog? No, we didn't get a dog. We used to have one.
I can set up a walkthrough of Matthew 24 if you're interested in it, Seth. Maybe I can convert you to postmillennialism.
Yes, Jesse. A lot of it.
Do I think Bill Clinton is going to be caught up in the Epstein arrest? No. Well, let me take that back. He might get caught up, but I don't think anything is going to happen to him. Yes, we did talk about Antifa attacking the journalist, Leah. We did a lot of victim blaming, but you can see that on the replay. I can't be a post-millennialist because I'm a millennial. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Vin, how do you deal with the idea of mandatory love or eternity in tournament? Seems very serial killer-ish to me. No, Clinton. No, that's just completely false. The word for race cannot be used as generation. That's completely untrue. Show me any lexicon that agrees with you. That's just not true. Furthermore, that wasn't the question that the disciples asked Jesus at the beginning of Matthew 24. The disciples didn't say, will the Jewish race survive? That wasn't their question. Their question was, what will be the signs that these things are about to take place? When will these things happen? Mm-hmm. They asked when. They didn't ask if the Jewish race was going to continue. They asked a time question. Somebody asked a question before I had... mandatory love or eternity in torment. Well, to me, 275... the torment in hell is caused by the self and surrounding sinners. So, to me, biblically speaking, if you're alive in this world, even if you hate God to your core, God loves you and is giving you grace and imposes grace and mercy and love on you in this world. But if you, for your entire life, say, no, I don't want you, I don't want you, I don't want you, God says, okay, I'm going to cut out a segment of the universe where you and all your God-hating Franks can hang out, and you guys can figure out how to build society and culture. Mm-hmm. And the society and culture that would be built by the godless would be absolutely hellish. We've seen examples of this in Auschwitz and Liberia, etc. So there's absolutely torment in hell, but I don't believe it's torment because God is actively doing something to you. I think in Romans 1, when God is really angry at somebody, he just stops talking to them. He doesn't do the fire and brimstone thing. Yeah, when God gets really angry, he just stops talking to you. Mm-hmm. And I think hell is a universe where God doesn't manifest himself at all to people. And none of us knows what that's like.
Right.
And I'm hoping that none of us in this chat ever figure out what that's like either. How about Pelosi and AOC going at it? I think it just looks to me like the Democratic Party is hell-bent on giving us another 4 years of Trump. They're not united. They're not focused.
Yep, I totally agree.
They're attacking and sniping at each other.
Yep.
And then you've got this Antifa bullshit that's happening. I just think that they're... I think they're just... I don't know what they're doing. And apparently neither do they. AOC is the most popular politician among millennials. And they attack her. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. No, 275, because whether or not you, and again, I'm speaking from a biblical worldview, right? If you've ever had kids, if you have kids, 275, from a biblical perspective, that's God's grace to you. It says the children are a reward from the Lord. anything in your life that you consider good comes from the hand of God. So whether you recognize it or not is irrelevant. You've never had an experience where God literally wasn't there to bless you.
Right.
So that's the difference. Pete Buttigieg claims to be a Christian. Does that mean saved or practicing since he's a practicing homosexual? I don't know much about this Buttigieg guy, to be honest with you. My big problem is with someone doing evil all their life, then just by accepting God, they go to heaven. That's so crazy. Well, it might be crazy, Elio Mike, but that's your only hope. Because you've done evil shit all your life.
Right.
And so have I. It's just a matter of degrees. Mm-hmm. And we love to call people evil who deal with sins that we don't traffic in. But the sins that we traffic in, we call that something else. And so God calls all of it evil. So, I hear you. You might not like it, but it's our only hope that God is gracious to everyone.
What did you say? Remember I brought this up and you said something about it?
There are no atheists in foxholes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not true. Lots of atheists in foxholes.
Well, that was all you said about it?
Yeah.
I thought you said something really interesting. Huh? Like, I didn't know you just opposed the idea.
Yeah.
I thought you said something interesting.
Well, you were interested in... You were very surprised that I said that.
That's probably what it was.
I said,
yeah.
There's lots of atheists in foxholes. Hey, Matthew Winter, what's up? Good thing being an atheist, no Christian guilt. Zombie Writer.
Vin has no Christian guilt.
I have none. Because Jesus took all my guilt. The whole concept of guilt is a very strange topic to me.
I know.
Because on the
like
one hand, are you saying that it's good to live completely guilt-free your entire life? That's one of the ways that we measure sociopaths. And I'm not saying that you're a sociopath. I'm just saying one of the markers of a sociopath is that he feels no guilt. I think it's safe to say that all of us have hurt people. All of us have lived below our own standards. And so from that perspective, guilt, I always say, functions like the nerve endings of the soul. Nerves are there to tell you that something is wrong and destructive, and unless you pull your hand away from this stove, you're going to lose your hand. So overactive nerves are a problem, and underactive nerves are also a problem. Both of them are extremely destructive. The way that I handle guilt is, because she says I don't have guilt, but I do, but I handle it in the very same way that I handle the stove. You feel the thing, you take your hand out, you bandage it up, and you move on with your day. You feel that pain for the split second, and you react as the pain is intended, and then you move on with your life. And that's how I handle guilt. It's there, you feel it, I go, and then I bring it to Jesus, and he wraps me up, and then I go on with my day. So, I get it, it's fun to talk about, Christian guilt or whatever, but everybody has to wrestle with guilt. The only people that don't are sociopaths.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's a good point.
That's kind of how I look at it. Yeah, I fully hope and expect to see Jeffrey Dahmer in heaven, Senior Clay. Oh, I don't hate sociopaths, Kyrie. I'm just saying.
Thank you, Matthew. He said we should catch up soonish.
Yes, Matthew, we should. Give me some updates, bruh.
Yeah, I know, Zork. I was just thinking I'm probably going to be... Good day. My 5 is more literal than his.
And we got 2 minutes left. Well, again, Zombie, even if you don't feel guilty about offending God, as you say, I'm sure you've done stuff to other human beings that you felt bad about. You knew you shouldn't have done. So, either way. I think guilt is a function that occurs to teach us something to curb our worst impulses. Yeah, I agree. And I think that once you recognize that feeling, you just address it and you move on. You don't dwell on it.
I am not at that place. I have a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
I think it would be a healthier way to live the way that you do. I think that it seems like that helps you to actually overcome more of your faults and flaws or whatever, but
well, yeah.
I have a very hard time just saying okay and just moving past it.
Right. And the irony is, as an insider in Christianity, when people talk about guilt and all the rest of it, a lot of it is getting people to believe the gospel. A lot of times she's like, how do I deal with this? And I'm like, just believe the gospel. That's not so simple. You know what I mean? So
it's much easier for me to just be like, okay, I'm going to like punish myself in a sense and feel bad about whatever and feel guilty for the day or whatever, than it is for me to just trust the gospel.
We get a lot of thank you very much, M Death Fan. Yeah, I'm not gonna wait a month again. That was ridiculous. Yes, Kyrie, I did see the Anarchy 99. Did I show you the Anarchy 99 merch?
I saw somebody's merch.
It was
I don't remember
badass.
which one it was.
We've got a lot of great writing from the Puritans, but what do you think the overall impact of Puritans has been both on our Christianity and culture in America and Britain? Yeah, the Puritans, I went through a phase, obviously being Reformed, I went through a phase where the Puritans were like the bee's knees. But I find the Puritans to be extremely articulate and erudite, but almost obsessed with their sin. And, the practice of like the internal investigation that they do every night before they go to bed, I thought was unhealthy. So I moved away from the Puritans a little bit because it just wasn't good for anybody's mental health. But Jonathan Edwards, especially in the Northeast, to this day is still extremely revered. And the Calvinists, the neo-Calvinism of guys like John Piper and all the rest of them really was spurned from the Puritans and the Reformed revival that started about 8 or 9 years ago. That can all be attributed to the Puritans, as well as the modern mission movement. The modern mission movement with Dave was all in the and the fact that you're sick and committed to be well you're sick and by yourself the script dealing with sin sickness. God is. And so the issue is if you realize that you're sick, why wouldn't you go to the doctor? If you're sick and you don't go to the doctor, you can't blame the doctor if you get pneumonia. See what I'm saying? Like if you're sick and you get pneumonia because you didn't, it escalated because you didn't go to the doctor. That's not on the doctor. That's on you. I tend not to feel guilt because that would imply I actually did something wrong, and we all know perfection like mine doesn't make mistakes.
Who said that? Who said that one?
No, 275. The doctor didn't give you pneumonia. What are you talking about? You inherited a genetic defect from your parents. Where in the Bible does it say that God gave you pneumonia? God said that you're sick, that you've made a wreck of your life, and He wants to help heal you. And He wants to change you and change the world through you. Seems like a good deal to me. You know who wouldn't have Thanos problems? The Justice League. Well, I mean, 275. Forget about your parents. I mean, have you lived a perfect life, even according to your standards? Do you believe that you're like Ben Webb, a completely good person who's never done anything wrong? I mean, you can deny the origin of original sin, but at the end of the day, just look at your own life. And look at your own actions and your addictions and your whatever, and see if you need help, there's help available. Well, I mean, 275, that would have to do with pretty much the way that I parent, right? As a parent, you don't control every single action that your kids do. I have my house under control, but that doesn't mean that I control every action and reaction from my kids. I don't trust that. I can trust doctors because they said an apple a day would keep them away, but whenever I ate apples to avoid my doctors, they were still there. Oh, gosh. All right, guys. I got to get out of here. Hope you guys like the new format. If you did like the format, please send a good shout out to your sister Sori, because she worked very, very hard to educate herself on how to pull that off, and I think this format is much more beautiful. Yeah, 275. What does it mean to be in control? Because if you're trying to make the argument that God forces people to do evil things, you can't make that argument biblically speaking. So you can't put that on God. The issue with God is he's not going to compromise his righteous standard because you were born in sin. What he does is he gives you an out to heal from the sin that you inherited. And if you don't accept it, then that's you, right? But we, like I said, every once in a while we have a Bible bash. So 275, if you want to go in depth on the correlation between original sin, personal sin, hell, all that jazz, I don't have a problem doing that if we have enough interests in it. I usually leave the Bible bash stuff, out of it, but there's a couple people who are interested in it, so we'll do that. Okay. I was born in sin because God arranged a puzzle to fit together in just that fashion, right? Where does the Bible say that, 275? And again, even if you reject the concept of original sin, which Kalendros does, what does that have to do with your particular sin and the fact that God does not command you to be well, he commands you to see a doctor? So why are we talking about people that were around, I don't know, 50,000 years ago? How about you just talk about 275 Ranger? Have you done bad things? Have you done things you wish you could take back? Have you made a wreck of things in your life? There's help for you. If you don't have help, if you don't want the help, then you don't want the help. But you can't blame the helper for extending the hand to you. Okay, yeah. So hit me up in an email 275, and because Ian kind of sets up the topics for the Bible bashes, but if you want to have that as an in-depth topic where the entire meeting is designed for that, then send me an email and we'll probably be able to do that in the next 2 weeks. That's also true. I agree with you. Yeah, I'll post it on Patreon. Have we edited that video yet?
Which one?
The last Bible bash with Ian?
I didn't even know that it got recorded. So you'll have
yeah,
to find that.
it's recorded. VinAndSori@gmail.com 275. So we've got one upcoming subject already hammered down, but the rest of them are free. So you can put a slot in there for the subject and we'll be good to go. Bernie 2020. Where do you do the Bible bashes? We do it in this format called Ring Central. It's not something that gets publicly advertised, and it's not like a thing because it just anyway. Very good point. The assault on Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. You're absolutely right. And that's one where both Democrats and Republicans have conspired together. No, I mean, the recording is on Patreon because there's no real place to put the recording in any of our 3 channels. So we put it on Patreon. But if you want the video, just send me an email. I can send it to you. Vin and Sori at gmail.com. 275. I put the email address in the thingamajig there.
You can tell people too that, like, see how it says Vin and Sori at the top of your screen? You can just kind of point up and be like, it's Vin and Sori with no spaces at gmail.com.
Vin, expect an email coming since you said the most unintentionally vile thing earlier. I pretty much never get offended, and I am borderline offended by a thing you said. This should be interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, guys, seriously. I gotta go. Much love to everybody. You guys are amazing. Again, make sure you thank Sori for the amazing live stream because you did such a good job, babe.
Thank you.
Okay. Vin out.
Sori out.